Alright, so here's a number 11, and it says find the indicated term. So we're going to find A14 when they gave you the first term and a common difference. So we're going to use the formula here that we talked about. So this is that time that you start using the formula. This is when they say to find a specific term that's not 1, 2, or 3, or 5. When you try to find 14, that's when you need to go ahead and do the formula. Or if you just want to, go ahead and just do -3 plus -7 all the way until you get to that 14th term. It takes longer, but you can do that too. Alright, so here we get A1. We use this formula here, is what I'm talking about. The recursive formula part, really. Alright, so here, all we're going to do is go ahead and put all the numbers in, and we're going to try to figure out what is the 14th term. So A1 is 31 again. N is 14, because that's the number term we're looking for. We're looking for the 14th term. Alright, we have D, which is -7. And so we're going to substitute all those pieces in. We're going to figure out what is A14. Alright, so A14, because that's the 14th term that we're looking for. A1 is -3. N is 14. Oops, 14. And then D is -7. And then I put all that into the calculator, and I got an answer of -97. Sorry, 94. -94. That's A14. -94. And that's all there is for number 11. That's it. Alright, jump into number 12. It says find the sum. And so this one, we're going to go ahead and deal with the sum formula, the nth partial sum. So they want to find the sum of the first 70 terms. And this arithmetic sequence of 16, 6, -4, -14, and so on and so forth. So we need to find the sum. So we're going to use that nth partial sum, which is Sn equals n over 2, A1 plus An. So here, we already know what A1 is. That's the first term in the sequence. We already know what N is, because the number term we're looking for is 70. So that's your N. So that's N, that's A1. But do we have An yet? Because we know An is that last term in the sequence. So here we don't have a number that's the last number in the sequence. That means we need to find that last term first and then be able to do this part. So it means we need to find this one, An. So we need to go back to that first formula that we talked about. We had a number 11 and use that to find the last term, and then we can go ahead and deal with all that great stuff. All right, so here we're doing A70 is what we're looking for. A1 is 16. We know N again is 70 because that's the number of terms we're looking for. And we just have to figure out what our common difference is. Again, if you can look at it and tell me what the common difference is, going from 16 to 6, and then from 6 to -4, and then -4 to -14. If you can look at it and tell me what the answer is, then great, then use that. But if not, you need to subtract them. So 6 minus 16 is -10. -4 minus 6 is -10. So it means our common difference is -10 there. So if you can, again, figure it out without actually doing the minus or finding a common difference like that, do it. So here, whenever you put that into the calculator, that gives us that A70 is -674. And that makes sense because all the numbers are starting to go negative over here as you're going further and further away from the beginning. All right, so that's our An. So when we start doing everything here, N is 70, that's 70 over 2, A1 again is 16, and our An, which we just found, was -674. And you can put it into the calculator just like that and get an answer. Exactly like this in the calculator. And you should get the answer of -23,030. And that's it. That's all you should have gotten for that one. looking for. So that one's a two-pronged problem. So in other words, you have to take two skills and put them together to figure out what that final answer is. That's important. They like to do that in the final exam a lot, just to let you know. All right, and then I'm doing a word problem here to see what you guys can do. And again, just because it's a word problem doesn't mean that you cannot do this. You should be able to just look at it and try to see what is going on with this word problem that deals with what we just talked about, what we've been talking about this whole section with sequencing series. Okay, so let's take a look at number 13. It says a theater has 34 rows with 24 seats in the first row, 29 in the second row, 34 in the third row, and so forth. So it continues on, getting bigger and bigger and bigger. How many seats are in the theater is the question. So we know in all there's 34 rows, and then each row here we have a number of seats. So let's look at that part. So we know first off it says that the first row is 24. So let me do this. First row is 24. The second row is 29. The third row is 34. And then it goes on forever until you get to the 34th row. So it means there's 34 rows in all. All right, so if there are 34 rows in all, that means that 34 is pretty much the last number in the sequence. So that means there's 34 terms here. That means there are 34 terms in the sequence. Because remember, this is your first row, this is your second row, and this is your third row. So each one of those are the rows. All right, so as it continues on, we should be able to figure out what is the sum of all of these. And we're kind of pulling back in what we just did with number 12, that problem. So again, we use this wonderful formula. Oops. All right, so we have the formula here. And again, we know what A1 is because that's the first number in the sequence. We know there's 34 rows, so we know that's N. Yeah, that's the letter N there. Now, we don't have the actual AN. We don't have the last number in the sequence, so we can't really do this formula yet until we find that. So again, let's go to find AN. Using the same formula we had on the last one. Putting both formulas together. It's great. So wonderful. I love math. I mean, it does that. Let's do A34 because we know that there's 34 rows, so that's the 34th number. All right, so A1 is 24. You know, N is 34 again because there's 34 rows. And then the common difference is what we have to find. 24 and 29, 29 to 34. So you should see that you're adding 5 to both of these. So 24 plus 5 gives us 29. 29 plus 5 gives us 34. And again, if you need to subtract them, 29 minus 24 and then 34 minus 29, you can do that too. So you should get a common difference of 5 though. All right, so once you do all that great stuff, you should get an answer here that the last row in this place has 189 seats. So that this pattern keeps flowing. So that's the last row. So here, when we put everything in, we do S34. That's 34 divided by 2. A1 is 24, so that's the first number in the sequence. And then plus 189. So again, we're taking this part here, we're putting it in there for AN. And then you put that into the calculator and get an answer. And again, with this, guys, please do not do the whole thing of, that's too much work, so I'm not even going to try. Guys, you're too smart to just quit on me. Don't quit on me. You're too smart on that. You guys are really, really smart with this math. So when you put all that in the calculator, you get 3,621 seats in all in that auditorium or in that theater. And that's what we're looking for. All right, that's it.